they have got special codes for marriages and people to form. What they call Qadi codes.
Yes.
You don't follow the laws.
Yes.
And also the constitution don't say Buddhism is a religion. The control says every religion has equal right to practice.
Exactly. That's right. And that's why I made reference to that. I'll be more balanced when I did reference to India, for example. And of course, India and Sri Lanka, because of historical roots, has for centuries recognized the right. That's a positive, for sure.
I have a question. I think the right which is defined by Islam is different from the right which is defined by the secularists. I think that is led to demand the people who live in secular state that particular definition of right that they have given makes them to demand the right of homosexuality. So how do we, in the perspective of the Islamic perspective, how do we tackle the issue? Because they are in that they are right. How do we say that? How do we tackle them, or how do we respond to the issue? How do we keep them?
Yeah. Did you hear the question? Yes or no? He's asking basically about. He says that the right in Islam is different from secularity because there are people also say, for example, the rights of homosexuals, the right of this and that, and so on. I never made a claim, and I think I was clear from the beginning, and I said explicitly that I am not saying that the secular laws and Islamic laws or Islamic jurisprudence are identical. You heard that, right? They're not identical. I even say that even if the laws are similar or almost identical, they are predicated in different concepts. And fair secularity, fair-minded secularity is based on keeping peace in society, recognizing the rights of others, which is part of human nature, good part of human nature, to be respectful of others that are different from you. There is no problem with this. But when you come to specific laws, obviously they are different. But what I was arguing basically are the underlying foundation, the basic notion of these rights not necessarily different on specific laws. When we were speaking, for example, about safeguarding the mind, remember I said that? You could say, all right, in Islam, even for a Muslim, at his own pace, not to be imposed on others, to acquire wealth by selling narcotics or wine is haram. To spend your own money even in buying liquor for a Muslim is haram, but you don't impose it on others. Okay? So that part of it is your own sort of your personal decision. What has been argued, and I'd like to reinforce that argument again, that even in Western society, that legalize buying and selling of wine, there are restrictions also. A minor, you cannot sell wine to a minor or beer, or even cigarettes in some countries, you can't even sell it to a minor. You get my point? Which means that while they fail as a community or as a society to come with a higher standard because most people don't accept it and the matter is decided by majority vote, they are also aware that safeguarding the mind by protecting it from what destroyed it is there. The restriction on narcotics is intended for what purpose? To save your mind, because people take narcotics, they don't know what they're doing, they commit crimes, productivity goes down and all of that. So they have their own reasoning for that. A Muslim would not do it, but with a different reason. That I feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this unlawful, in addition to my conviction also that it's harmful to society. Get my point? So foundation could differ, but the same law can be accepted. There are admittedly, of course, areas of difference like this, but my position is that as a Muslim, when I'm asked about that question by media and others, say, what do you think about homosexuality? I said, look, to start with, and I'm speaking here from the perspective of a pluralistic, secular society. I said, as a citizen of that secular society, I have the freedom also of faith and my belief. So to me, as a believer, it is not acceptable as a Muslim. But I hasten to say, but I'm not proposing, however, to impose my own religious beliefs on anyone else. But I, as a Muslim, have the right to my belief, and according to my scriptures and so on, it is not acceptable. But then you have to add to that also to avoid misunderstanding. I say, in this context of a secular society, I am against anyone who takes the law in their own hands and commit crimes against homosexuals or discriminate against them contrary to the law. Am I watering down my belief? I'm not. These are people who are not believers in Islam. Whatever style of life they chose, offensive to me or not accepted by me, it doesn't matter. I'm against people who say, like kills, whatever. It happened in the United States, by the way. A young man killing people say that he's this and that. So you say, I'm against it. That at least you clarify or remove any misconception that because you don't agree, then you're calling on violence against this. And end it, again I say, in the context of a secular society, I am for respecting the law, whether people agree with some aspects or not. The law of the land must be respected. And I end it with the same notion again. I am not proposing to force my belief on others. I hope that this might answer your question. In a practical way, even when you encounter this question, to answer truthfully but sensitively.
Thank you. So now there is another question. In Islam, we have capital punishment for someone who converts from Islam to another religion. How is it justified? I'm a Muslim, but I cannot understand the philosophy behind it.
I have a detailed article on that subject. It's called Apostasy. Is it a capital crime? You can go to Islam Online, it's one word, islamonline.net, and type in the search window apostasy. There is a special file that has a number of articles. One of them is a humble contribution of mine. But let me hasten to say that while some Muslims believe that there has been ijma', unanimity among scholars that anyone who leaves Islam is to be punished by capital punishment, is not necessarily an ijma'. And there is a very, very powerful argument that what jurists were speaking about in the past, or the hadith, some hadith mentioned, is not apostasy in itself, like saying I'm not convinced anymore of Islam, but apostasy that is accompanied by another capital crime, and this is the matter of how to interpret the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Because the topic is sensitive and important, allow me, even though I know we don't have as much time to elaborate, to give you something so that it's not rhetorical. First of all, the proper methodology of judging or evaluating any opinion by anyone other than the Prophet, because he was receiving revelation. The proper criterion is to go back to what is called the primary sources of Islam. There are only two revelatory primary sources of Islam. The Quran comes as absolutely number one because it is revelation in meaning and exact words that have been preserved by memorization and writing. So it is literally the word of God, not the word of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And the second source is hadith. Some refer it interchangeably as sunnah, some distinct, but anyway, it refers also to another form of revelation given to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but not verbatim, not the exact word of God. The Prophet used his own words to express those revelations. Both are coming from Allah. Of course, the authenticity of the Quran is 100%. The authenticity of hadith varies. There are those of hadith that are more authentic than others. But these are the two primary sources of evaluating anything. Which means, when you speak about apostasy, somebody is not convinced and not doing harm to society. Where do we go? We go to the Quran. There is no single ayah in the entire Quran from A to Z that says that an apostate who leaves Islam should be killed. Not one. You tell me if I mean. Not one. In fact, there are verses in the Quran that give the indication that the juridical opinion that has been quite common among many Muslim jurists in history is erroneous. Because they say that you apostate, you're given a time to recant or else you're executed. However, look at this ayah in the Quran. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا ثُمَّ كَفَرُوا ثُمَّ آمَنُوا ثُمَّ كَفَرُوا ثُمَّ ازْدَادُوا كُفْرًا لَمْ يَكُنِ اللَّهُ لِيَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ. It means, alright, That's it, you're done in the rejection of faith. Allah will not forgive you.